Hi guys, Anastasia here from Anastasia Does Astrology. Today I'm going to talk to you about what it means to be a Libra rising and what it means to have Venus, your chart ruler, in different houses. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. So let's dive in. What does it mean to be a child of Venus or a Libra rising? If you are a Libra rising, you usually have a very nice facial symmetry. You're quite attractive. You're probably very magnetic. People are they might always think you're flirting with them, even if you're just being friendly. That's, I think, like a blessing and a curse, that friendly personality. It is my rising sign, so I know it very personally, and I have been told that I have a very flirtatious personality, while a lot of times, honestly, swear to God, I'm just being friendly. So there's natural ease, there's kind of like femininity, there's strong taste, like really good taste, really strong understanding of beauty, sense of aesthetics, without even trying much, and kind of like Libra risings usually move quite gracefully, and there's a lot of charm and that like poise as well. The body is usually curving and round and kind of very feminine, but for the most part they try to stay in good shape and take care of their body, because once again, as a Venus ruled native, your appearance is very important to you. And it's just a very like genuinely kind and sweet person for the most part, you know, like they make friends really easily. They can have that appearance of being a social butterfly. And that is, of course, your rising sign. So this is part of your personality that's visible to other people. But you may have your sun in Virgo, like I do, or you may have your sun in Taurus in the 8th house. That will make you a lot quieter and a lot more reserved and private. But you would still be flipping back and forth between that extroverted Libra rising persona that you wear and maybe more introverted self that you are inside. It's another thing by, you know, being a Venus ruled sign, Libra risings tend to be very romantic. It's like that sign of an eternal romantic, always believing that things will work out, idealizing your partner, maybe at times getting disappointed because it's really hard to meet someone who will fulfill all the dreams and fantasies that we Libra risings do have. But overall, there is like a strong need for love, a strong need for romance, and even a tendency to maybe oftentimes converse about romance. Like, you know, thoughts just naturally gravitate towards asking their friends how their love life is going, or talking about your personal love life. It's also a sign that is always looking for balance, you know, be that a balance between your work life and your personal life, a balance between your personal needs and your spousal needs. That need to find kind of like, you know, not give too much, not take too much. There could almost be a constant like tally and keeping track of like things that are happening in relationships, and, you know, like how much is your partner giving, how much are you giving. There's just like always that care and attention that's put into it. There is obviously indecision that comes with the Libra rising, because they want to make sure their decision is perfect, and they also want to make sure they don't hurt anyone in the process. So sometimes there is that, like, you know, taking everything into account and waiting for a bit to make a decision. And at times there's definitely a superficial quality to a Libra rising. And once again, speaking from a personal experience, as far as, you know, like being drawn to beauty and judging people by their looks, or judging things and like towns or anything like that by the way they look and how they make you feel. Yeah, Libra risings like things beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're able to see within and see that there's more to things, and there's inner beauty too. So if you have Venus in the 1st house, or Venus in Libra, Venus rules Libra, so it's at home in the 1st house. It's gives you a lot of kind of like, once again, those Venusian sensibilities. This is Beyonce placement, as far as I'm pretty sure it's Beyonce's placement, and she is the that like traditional, you know, extremely beautiful, very magnetic person. And if you have Venus in the first house, you very much, you're like one of the prettiest Libra risings, because that makes you even more like voluptuous, even more in touch with your beauty, even more aware of how to make yourself look amazing. You will probably be someone who is a peacemaker in your surroundings. A lot of your focus goes into creating harmony and balance in your relationships. You pride yourself on being fair and just. Sometimes there could be, of course, a tendency to like avoid conflict or avoid unpleasant emotions, and that is not always healthy, because if you avoid things too long, they have a way to come back into your life and show you a different side of things. It's also usually a very creatively gifted person. They have some kind of artistic talent. Like one person I know, she's a good painter. Obviously, I mentioned Beyonce, who's an amazing singer. And regardless of what you do, even if you're a chef, like you'll be able to spin, you know, like the dish in some kind of amazing new way. They might desire luxury. They might spend a lot of time on beauty products and spend a lot of time pampering themselves and looking really good. If you have Venus in the second house or Venus in Scorpio, this is Zoe Kravitz placement. And Venus in Scorpio is a very magnetic placement. It's someone who's very alluring and someone who draws people in through their intensity and depth. And they might be quite private. They're not necessarily going to be someone who shares a lot about their love life. But at the same time, you know, they're still carrying that charm of Venus rising. They're still carrying that social element of it. And because Venus is in the second house, there is a lot of focus on finances, a lot of focus on having beauty in your life. They might spend a lot of money on like art or items of design or beauty items. You know, like they really care to have really beautiful things in their life. And they might prosper. They might make money through selling beautiful things or through their eye for beauty. And sometimes also having Venus in the second house means you prosper through marriage. Like people, you know, like significant other could be very beneficial for your financial situation. Yeah, sometimes they could be a little bit extravagant, I would say, or spend money without necessarily like thinking carefully about it. Of course, all of it will be modified by the other planets they have in this house. And another thing that they value, and this is true for all Libra risings, because Libra rules the first and then rules the eighth. So pretty much every Libra rising would also be very curious in the topics of the eighth house, which is occult, tarot, astrology, you know, like death, mysteries, less visible things. So having Venus in Scorpio even more so means that you're very interested in those mysterious things that are hard to put into words. If you have Venus in Sagittarius or Venus in the third house, you probably really value your relationship with siblings. You value having harmonious interactions in your neighborhood. And you might naturally like know really good spots in your neighborhood and know all the places to go to interact and have fun, because Venus ultimately also is the place of fun. You may have a busier schedule. You may move around a little bit more, always chatting people up, always connecting with everyone. You're also someone who's quite philosophical, someone who's interested in higher education, learning, and expressing yourself. You may be someone who's a very like eloquent communicator and eloquent writer. And chances are in love, you look for intelligence more than beauty. So I did say that Libra risings tend to be kind of shallow a little bit, but it obviously gets modified by the Venus sign. Venus in Sagittarius is a philosopher. And so to impress you, the person really needs to talk about, you know, kind of like deeper philosophical topics. If you have Venus in Capricorn or Venus in the fourth, your home and your family become a subject of a lot of focus in your life. This is actually Britney Spears' displacement, and you know, her and her family and all of the entanglements and like drama there is eternally connected. So someone with Venus in your fourth house or Venus in Capricorn, you are someone who puts a lot of attention into making sure your home looks beautiful. You may be very like, you know, kind of like connected to your family, very connected to your parents. You may draw a lot of your personality from your childhood as well. And maybe at times you even see these people be really good interior decorators and designers, because more than other Libra rising signs, they have a desire to bring beauty into the home. Because Venus rules that 8th house, the home life might be filled with conversations about occult, about tarot, about astrology. Maybe parents are interested in this as well, creating that desire in a child's life to learn even more about it. And naturally, when you have Venus in the 4th house, you may be luckier than other people as far as living in nice homes. They don't have to be huge like you see with Jupiter in the 4th house, but they will be clean and well decorated, and perhaps a place you like to show off. You like to gather your friends together and you like to entertain. If you have Venus in the 5th house or Venus in Aquarius, you are someone who is defined by your relationship with children, by your creative pursuits, and by your romantic life. You pour a lot of energy into being unique, into being authentic, into being a parent perhaps, and you enjoy artistic things. You know, like that's another placement where you can really be successful if you pursue art, if you pursue movies, singing, anything like that could be very beneficial for you. You probably someone who enjoys spending time with kids, and you maybe feel like you learn a lot from hanging out with children, which is not surprising. Kids do, I think, inspire most of us with their innocence and openness. At least that's how I feel. And you may be, similarly to Venus in the 3rd house, you are someone who is quite eccentric romantically, quite unique, quite like freedom loving, and you probably look for a partner who's different. You look for someone who will stimulate your mind and stimulate your intellect, and you might also be someone who like needs your own space. Venus in Aquarius is very much, I had a client compare it to like a cat, you know, loving you, but loving you on your own terms. So making sure that like, you know, you have your space, but you also have a partner. If you have Venus in the 6th house or Venus in Pisces. So Pisces Venus is the most giving, is the most selfless, is the most other people oriented spiritual Venus. And 6th house is the house of service and problem solving and like healing other people. So with this placement, naturally, you're someone who is very devoted to serving other people. You find a lot of happiness in maybe like, you know, helping people deal with turbulent events. You may be working in some kind of medical field, or you may be working in a legal field, but you would be more than other people open to giving things to others without expecting anything in return. And of course, you are a hopeless romantic. You're someone who maybe needs to work on their boundaries a little bit, because that sometimes tends to happen with Venus and Pisces. You just give a lot, and other people who don't have that sensitive spirit may just take it without necessarily appreciating it. And you may also have a very practical outlook on love. Even though you're a romantic, you also keep in mind things that you need to take care of to keep things going. Like, you know how to maintain the relationship. If you have Venus in the 7th house or Venus in the sign of Aries, you are someone who's relationship oriented. This is the placement of Jennifer Aniston. She's a Libra rising with Venus in the 7th house in Aries. You are relationship oriented. You see yourself through your partnerships. This could be your friendships. This could be your romantic partners. You understand yourself a lot more through other people, through their opinions of you, through having conversations with them sometimes too, and, you know, discovering your likes and your dislikes. A lot of times, maybe even some of your decisions can be based like indirectly on the opinions of your spouse or your significant people in your life. Venus in Aries is a little bit challenged because Aries is a martial sign, so your approach to love is quite martial and quite masculine in a lot of ways. You're very direct, you're very straightforward, Of course, a lot would depend on the Mars signs and your moon sign and everything else, but still there is that ability to be very blunt, to maybe even express your ego in relationships and express your identity. So the danger here is sometimes having ego battles in relationships where, you know, one or each of you is trying to show the other, be competitive with the other, kind of fight for reasons that aren't as important. So pay attention to things like that, you know, learn to communicate, learn to maybe be competitive together against someone else, like, you know, join a group sport where you play as a team, you and your partner, against another team versus competing with one another. If you have Venus in the 8th house or Venus in Taurus, this is another Venus in rulership. So 8th house is the house of shared resources. It's the house of karma. It's the house of things we exchange with other people, house of sex. So you will also be someone who seeks intense encounters, and maybe you even find fulfillment in sex. You may be someone who has secret love affairs or secret relationships, or just keeps your like dating life private. You are someone who most likely going to be lucky with an inheritance, unless there are planets like Mars and Saturn in your 8th house as well. Usually Venus in the 8th promises easy and lucky inheritance, and also really nice relationship with in-laws traditionally. There might be a little bit of an insecurity growing up because 8th house is the dark house and Venusian energy is hidden away there. So sometimes you may struggle, especially when you're a child, a teenager, you may struggle with seeing yourself as attractive. But the older you get, the more confident you become and the more you understand that you are a very beautiful and very attractive person. And finally, collaborating with people could be very good for you. You know, like coming together with other people. People might even actually bring things to you without you even asking. This is very much a placement of, you know, you want to go to a concert, but you don't have money at the moment, and then someone else buys you a ticket. Because 8th house is also a house of support. So if you have a happy planet there like Venus or Jupiter, it does mean you feel supported for the most part by others. If you have Venus in the 9th house or Venus in Gemini, you are a true traveler. You're someone who has their bags ready and packed and ready to go, you know, at a single indication of a trip. You love to travel. You're very open to people of different cultures. Chances are you're going to marry someone of a foreign culture, or you will meet your partner while traveling. You're very open, very interested, very much in love with learning. You might be always learning. You might be always expanding your views, and perhaps also someone who is really good at foreign languages. You are someone who aspires for a lot, like you have these high ideals, you have these desires to achieve things. You're always open to new experience and open to going out there and showing the world who you are. A true philosopher, but like an active philosopher who actually goes out there and achieves stuff. If you have Venus in the 10th house or Venus in Cancer, 10th house is career, 10th house is profession, and Venus is creativity, art, and love. So you need to love what you do. You're more than other people. You need to do something that brings you joy. And oftentimes you see this person in a position that deals with careers that are connected to beauty, careers that deal with art, like creativity. Even if it's some kind of like medical field, this could be, you know, being a plastic surgeon and creating beauty through your job. You may meet your partner through work as well, because Venus is connected to our love life, and your partner could be someone who is highly beneficial for your career, someone who brings you even more success and prominence. And ultimately, with Venus in Cancer in the 10th house, you're someone who is seen as a really beautiful and charming person. 10th house is all the way at the top of our chart, and you may be, you know, other people are drawn to you. Other people see you as a beautiful person, as a caring and giving. And it's another very loyal placement where you might be loyal to a job, you might be loyal to your partner, to your friends, to people that you let into your life. If you have Venus in the 11th house or Venus in Leo, so this is interesting because a lot of times this does mean working for some kind of large governmental organization. And when I was prepping for this video, Monica Lewinsky has this placement. So, you know, she works for the government and there was some romantic action at her job, which can also happen with if you have Venus in the 11th house. It's not always going to be as dramatic, but usually your charm and your charisma comes out in group settings. You can benefit through your connections with women. You can also benefit through selling art and luxuries and beauty. You are very beautiful, which is the truth for every Libra rising, but here you get that beauty of Venus brightened up by the solar power, by the solar warmth. You may be someone who seeks luxury and kind of likes surrounding yourself with expensive and, you know, luxurious things. You may enjoy presents, like presents could actually be your love language. You are someone who can find quite a lot of joy in engaging with communities, in socializing with your friends, and, you know, a lot of people find a lot of joy in seeing you. They kind of feel comfortable in your appearance because, right, in your company, because you have that ability. Venus in Leo is also very generous and really good at supporting people in their life and giving compliments and encouragements. If you have Venus in the 12th house or Venus in Virgo, so this is a bit of a tougher placement because it does mean feeling a little bit insecure when younger and maybe working really hard to hide those insecurities and overcome them. Your life will be drawn to foreign lands. You will be drawn to isolation more than, you know, like I said, Libra rising is usually a very social placement. So you will have that social persona, but with Venus in the 12th house, you will seek solitude and you will really need to spend some time alone. Go maybe spend some time in nature and recharge. It is Venus in Virgo after all. There is something mysterious to your aura. There is search for privacy, desire for privacy. Of course, a lot would depend on some other things. Like if you have Mercury in the first house in Libra, most likely you're not going to be that private. But you're very perceptive. You have strong intuition. Sometimes you may question it and doubt it because it's the 12th house and Virgo seeks understanding. But you do. You're really someone who's very perceptive and very intuitive. Your romantic life might take a while to get started and stabilize because Venus in Virgo is considered fallen and 12th house is the house of losses. And this is the placement that Kate Winslet has, Libra rising with Venus in the 12th house. And she was married 3 times. She has 3 kids from different people. And the guy that she dated when she was young ended up passing away. They broke up, but then he died from cancer. And she said that she actually never got over him. So to get good results out of Venus in Virgo or Venus in the 12th house, you really need to put a lot of effort in. And you need to trust your intuition. Although sometimes there could be a little bit of confusion as far as what do you want in romantic relationships. Make sure you use your experiences as, you know, these like kernels of learning, kernels of wisdom, and adjust your course and adapt your course. And I think you can really benefit with this placement from psychotherapy, from like writing lists and making sure you stick to them and being more trusting of yourself, but more thorough with people you let into your life. So this is all I've got. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit thumbs up, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Bye guys.